few years back, my folks got up on the wrong side of some serious people. We were on lockdown. I wasn't even allowed to go outside. Saturday mornings, man, always me and Pops. He was cooking me pancakes. I was watching cartoons. And in the back door, his gap was right next to me, but he couldn't reach it. So he yelled for me. He told me to cap him. I ain't had no choice. I grabbed it, pulled the trigger. There was too much kick. Lost control. I shot my Pops in the back of the head.
Welcome to A Deadly Class Act. I'm your host, Rhayne Coleman, and this is a Carefree Black Nerd review over SyFy's newest series, based off of Rick Remender's and Image Comics' award-winning graphic novel, or comic series turned graphic novels, Deadly Class. Now, while you're listening to this episode of A Deadly Class Act, and while you're watching Deadly Class live on Wednesdays, or on the SyFy app, or on TV, or on bootleg, or however else you consume your Deadly Class media, use that hashtag ADCAPod. Live tweet. Let me know your thoughts and feelings about the show. Live tweet with me at Carefree Blurred is the handle on Twitter. Carefree Black Nerd on all other social media sites. And check in with me. Let's make this a conversation. If you feel so motivated, email me at carefreeblacknerd@gmail.com. Also, as a quick aside, Sundays, Carefree Black Nerd proper. Mondays will be the Welcome to Riverdale. Tuesdays will be the official day for A Deadly Class Act, and Wednesdays are for Black Lightning Matters with my amazing co-host Cole Jackson of Government Name and BYNK Radio family. So now with all that out the way, A Deadly Class Act. So this is Deadly Class Season 1, Episode 2, Noise, Noise, Noise. Now, this episode was damn good. I really enjoyed it. I looked at some reviews and I see that a lot of people have issue with, this was just another, this was just another trope from 80s movies and such and such. And to that I say, nothing under the sun is new. There is nothing that we're doing outside of advancing technology, which even that stems from something that's already established. Nothing is new. I enjoy Deadly Class overall as a series. I've enjoyed the books. I've had a good time reading them. I'm enjoying the show so far. It's not without its flaws, because I have issues that I'll discuss throughout the course of this episode. But I guess my thing is I haven't seen, and there may be some out there that I just haven't seen, but I haven't seen any critique about the show that hasn't been something I felt like was surface or generic. And that's not to say that people who don't like the show, that they're wrong, or that this isn't a good, that critique isn't good enough, because your feelings are your feelings. Again, at the end of the day, this is art, and art is meant to be consumed and interpreted and critiqued and all that. So I'm not trying to say that this show is without flaw, but it just seems like some of the issues with it are not good. Sans this issue that I have, which is, where are all the black women? I really do enjoy the book and I enjoy the show. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing, but where the fuck, heavy emphasis on fuck, bold, italicized, underlined, and all that, are the black women in this world? Now, I do understand that Rick Remender is a cis white man, and this is essentially him telling his story of him being young in the 80s and all that good shit. Fine. But when you're adapting this show for television, they're changing things. You have creative liberties. You're moving some things around that have not happened in the book, and you're doing a good job, like this episode in particular. So, where is the space to put this? I don't understand it, and it's something that initially I didn't catch because I was so wrapped up in being excited for the show. But now that I take a look back, I know that there are some black women characters coming down the pipeline in the book series. And because this show can deviate wherever it feels it needs to, I don't know that that's going to be anytime soon. So where the fuck are the black women in this show? There are black men, there are Latino men and women, there are white men and women. Where the fuck are Asian men and women? Where are the black women? Where are the black women in this show? Right. But I digress. So all in all, what happens is Marcus picks right back up where we left off last episode. He's in his like wonder years monologuing, going through the school, and I really like that about this show. It really gives that like dark, dystopian, otherworldly feel. Though it feels planted very firmly in the 80s from what I recall from when I was much younger. And I do enjoy that it does feel genuine and it feels authentic. Now, this is me speaking as a 90s kid. So if there's someone who was a class of 91 or a teenager back then and you see some flaws or you agree, let me know. Use the hashtag ADCApod and let me know, how true to the 80s is this. And I really enjoy the show. I enjoy the like Bel Air prep look of it all, but I really like Marcus. He's a flawed character. He is probably the most flawed or the most kind of accepting of his flaws than the other people on the show. So we open up with Marcus going through the halls, talking his shit in his head, and you kind of get a feel for the school as a whole, what they got going on, and it feels very true to episode 1. And we get Marcus dealing with PTSD from killing the guy. We get Willie bragging on being the one who actually murdered the dude. We get a kind of, assignment in class for the main cast. They are having to kind of fight their way from the classroom to this safe space. And then we get this, a house party. And that's one of the critiques I found is that people were upset, like, oh, this is just another 80s movie trope and having a house party. What? A house party is just that, a house party. House parties have been around for a very long time. And they've been in so many different types of movies, be it dramas, comedies, horror films, period pieces, historical fiction. Like this, what are your issues with a house party? I think that's strange. But I mean, whatever, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I really think they did a damn good job with this house party, kind of playing all these different pieces one by one. Let me see what else. We get Willie and Marcus having another kind of buddy moment, and I really enjoyed that. We get a little bit more backstory on Willie, and some things from the comics are pulled in as well. Like literally panels from the comics are pulled into the TV show. Lex is an asshole. What else? There is a funeral and Masterland makes a discovery. Now, what I like is the pace in which this show is moving. Pretty much Willie is getting up and presenting his case like, I smoked this motherfucker, I killed this homeless man because he was, a bad dude and whatever. So he talk about lifting the body up, throwing him in the trash can, setting him on fire and all the shit he did. Now, what I like about Willie's character is that he has already let us know he's a pacifist. We know that this is a facade that he's putting up, this FWO, I'm a badass. Now, I like this because it's what I think a lot of people in general, but specifically black people and more specifically black men do. Having to wear those two faces, having to kind of put on your white voice at times, having to navigate in this space and be very conscious of the way that you appear in order to keep yourself safe, be it when you're in a space full of non-blacks, having to be a little bit more on guard, or even taking some of the bass out your voice, or walking 2 or 3 paces in front of or behind someone just to make sure you don't alert them of any danger because of the way media has portrayed black men. But whatever. But I do what I like about Willie is that he's presenting himself one way, and this is literally for survival. This isn't just some high school, let me get through these next 4 years and get to college. This is, I need to survive here or else I could be murdered. He let Marcus know, you have a rep, like you have to protect it. That is the only thing that's keeping you alive. As a quick aside, I want to know, will there be a backstory episode where how these motherfuckers even got to this school? Because Willie let it be known, and we discover in this episode that his father was killed, and he killed the guys who shot his father, which got him his rep, which was in the flashback. He looked about, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7, maybe even 8. But we find out that he accidentally killed his dad as well with this, like, I'm going to say machine gun. You guys, I'm not well versed in guns, so if you watching the show and you know what kind of gun this was, correct me. But he killed his dad, and that was the issue. But that's the thing that got him his rep. And, excuse me, Willie is kind of performing this role that needs to be fulfilled in order for him, one, to keep his life, for him to be kind of sort of untouchable, and 2, it offers him some sort of protection because now you have a clique, you have a following, you have people that are looking up to you for the badass things that you've done, and then just for your sanity, like he's oh man, there are things going on that I don't have the words to express, but I know that I love this character of Willie. I love what he is bringing to the show. I love his acting. I love his attitude. I love the way he looks. He's not a racially ambiguous black guy. He's not a caricature of a black person, like a black person in blackface. He's not this, he's a regular dude. He's a tall, kind of thick dude. He's not solid. He's not obese. He just really looks like a regular ass guy, and I do like that. I can't pinpoint his age. I'm sure I could easily look it up. I don't want to do that. I want to enjoy the show for what it is. But I say that because he doesn't look 30, but he doesn't look 12. He looks like a teenager, as they all do. Like, well, Maria looks a little older. I think it's the size of her head. But that aside, this is a damn good show, but I want to get some type of backstory about how everyone arrived here at this school, because Willie is a pacifist. I know his mom took him to the school, but it's like, how did she know about this? Who's who, so to speak, who knows about King's Dominion, who knows about the training of these kids? And it isn't expressed in the books at the time of this recording. It hasn't been, for as far as I've read in the books. On the show, this episode, they did something very different that wasn't in the books, is that they had the house party with Shyamalan or Sabine, what's his name? Shaban, yeah. The little, Marcus's new roommate and little chunky dude, I think he's a white guy. They had a little house party at his house. That's not something that occurred in the comics. So I like that the show is deviating, but still making it fit within the narrative of the show, and it feels believable. Like, if you hadn't read the comic and you just watched the show, this house party part, to me, seems like it fits within the show. Whereas in the comics, if you're reading it, you're probably gonna be like, oh, well, what happened to this? Either way, they both exist, and they both are convincing. So I do like that. Maria, like I said before in the books, there's some things going on with her and Chico, and some issues that have come out in this episode. Pretty much, Chico is a controlling ass dude who is frightening, and Maria is terrified of him. But there was a point in the episode where the main cast are sent out after no one really was able to complete the assignment of killing someone from last episode. Master Lin tells Willie, you stay in here with me. Everybody gets out in the hallway, and Master Lin locks a gate, so they got to try to get out of there. Everybody who has been at this school for some time, and they are in control as far as being a part of some larger gang, they kind of freak out. They don't know what the fuck to do. Marcus, the street smart rat, the Aladdin of the bunch goes in and picks the lock. Then they get through and they have to fight these motherfuckers with nunchucks. Then they get through that and you have to get through part of the hallway before the wall closes down on you. Then you get through that and you get poisoned and you have to find the antidote. And Marcus, even within all that, though he passes out, he's the one who notifies Chico and kind of everyone else of the antidote. Marcus, Maria, Chico, Saya, Brandy, Victor, I believe that's it. And I love, first of all, I don't like Brandy. She's, for obvious reasons. But the actress, I think, is doing a good job portraying Brandy. Brandy has a big ass forehead. I'll say that. She got a big ass forehead. And so Marcus lets everyone know what the antidote is to the poisonous gas that they've been breathing in. And Maria, it's like a little plant, like a fish plant or some shit. Maria chews up the antidote and swallows it, and she's finding it. She's like kind of spitting it in the mouths or putting it in the mouths of everyone else. And she gets to Chico and she hesitates. And I'm like, God, I know it's too early in the season for anything to happen to anyone, but I was like, just fucking let him die. Like, Maria, you would be free, but she didn't. And I think that may be speaking to the larger, like, not Munchausen syndrome, but we'll discover more about Chico and Maria as the show goes on. And at this point, I don't really have any predictions because I've read the book, so I know what the book says, and I don't want to keep sounding like those comic book guys. Well, in the comics, they done such and such. But for me, it's more or less reference. Like, this is what happened, and I'm excited how they're deviating and still making it feel like this is within, the story. So the survivors of the test walk out into the lunchroom and see Shabnam trying to be president, student body president. This felt a lot like the movie Election with Reese Witherspoon. Like, his and it seems like he's the only person running for president. So of course this motherfucker's gonna win, or they might deviate and make it that a plot point. Maybe someone else might run against him, and that is an episode. But yeah, so Marcus is sitting with the freaks and geeks, and they're discussing like all the shit that's going on and how you can't save everybody. And that's the funny thing for me. Marcus, for all the shit that he's doing, is like a pure soul or whatever. But you're at this assassin school and you're still worried about bullies. And I get it. And I think if I was in this position, I would probably feel the same way. But you have to look at, I guess I'm just thinking more or less survival. I'm not helping you at all unless it's going to serve the greater good for myself. Now, him standing up against Victor and them and whoever else who beating up Shabnam in the bathroom, cool, but at some point you can't keep trying to save these motherfuckers. If we were at a regular school, yeah, this is a school for assassins. Like, oh man, I don't know. That Marcus frustrated me to no end with that shit. So we get to the house party, and they're playing 80s music. We got some Run DMC going. You got everybody clicked up. And here is where I did see a black woman or a black character. And she was hanging out with the FWO, with Willie and the gang. And I was excited to see her, but she had no speaking role. She was just part of the crew. I don't know if she'll be fleshed out more. I know that particular character is not in the comics. Well, she's not in the comics. I have not seen her. But yeah, I'm interested in seeing what the fuck are you going to do about having no black women in this space. It makes no sense to me. You have all these different cliques set up. Where are the black women? Where are the black women? They deserve better. So we're at the party, and it's a lot going on, high energy. All in all, the things to take away from this party: Lex is an asshole. Brandy's bitch ass is mean as fuck. Shabnam is a wealthy loser.
So, you want to snuff Reagan? Yeah, he killed my parents. Good reason as any. Seen half my friends and a few partners waste away from a plague Ronnie refused to even acknowledge. Cut funding for research. Wouldn't say the word AIDS publicly. Did you explain to your dying friends that it was God's plan? I've been thinking. Lex said he's going to use his training to do good things. Change the world.
Changing the world is hippie bullshit.
People like Reagan,
They never see the guillotine anymore.
so why you do nothing? Hating what's wrong is easy. Yeah, I'm going to do something about it.
You have the thing this place is supposed to nurture, and they all see it. And that's why they'll try and destroy you.
I want to take a couple steps back. Now, everyone knows that Marcus wants to kill Reagan, and they kind of tease him for it. But when in Poison Lab, when that was discussed, the professor, Henry Rollins, he speaks to Marcus, and he's like, oh, you really want to kill Reagan? He's like, yeah, he killed my parents, and blah, blah, whatever his policies. Let things like crazy people, these mentally challenged people get out of the facility, and they kill my parents. Henry Rollins is like, yeah, I know what you mean. Essentially talking about the AIDS epidemic. And it made me question if Henry Rollins' character is queer, and not to attach AIDS and HIV to the LGBT community, but in the context of the show in the 80s, and everyone is affected, gay, straight, however you identify, whoever you sleep with, it's large. But just something in the way that he discussed it, and something in the way that he spoke with Marcus, made me feel as if maybe the Poison Lab professor is queer, is gay. Because it was something in the way that he spoke about, us, my friends, being silenced, or their pain not even being discussed. Where I feel like for me, it rang that this was a queer character, and that he was speaking to something that may have gone over the heads of others. But I'm going to keep my eye on him and see what's what, because it hasn't been explicitly said. But over the next 2 or 3 episodes, I wonder if that's going to be a part of the show, if at all. Also, there was a Love and Rockets mention, which is a comic book. And so I'm thinking, is there going to be a comic book reference within this show every episode? Because that'd be a nice little through line, or a nice little, like how in Insecure, they had that slavery show. Oh my God! Check out also Insecure, the Carefree Black Nerd review of HBO and Issa Rae and Larry Whitmore's Insecure. Use that hashtag OS Insecure. But no, it'd be nice to see if they're going to do every episode try to work in a comic reference. That would be cool, because it's not only just the main Marvel DC. They're working in comics that are of the time. They are not necessarily deep cuts, but things that the normal viewer probably wouldn't know anything about. And it's not made up comics. It's not like, oh, you're reading Action Man number 54. No, these are actual books that I'm sure Rick Remender read way back in the day, or probably still reads. So, that's another something that I do enjoy about the show. Now, again, where are the black women? I'm going to say that over and over again. Brandy talks about she would never sleep with Shabnam unless he had $20,000. He comes up with $20,000. Lex is pestering every fucking body in this damn party, to the point where I was annoyed. Like, man, sit the fuck down. Oh shit! But yeah, it was a very good episode. We get a flashback with Willie, like I said before, how he murdered his dad by accident, but we got it in the same way that we got Marcus's flashback as a kid, with the Wes Craig style animation. I do like that about this show. I like that we're getting comic book panels kind of come to life, very similar to Wes Craig style, and we're getting the trauma of these main characters via these flashbacks that are the panel. It's just, man, it's such a, and it fits. It doesn't pull you out of the episode. It doesn't pull you out of the show. It's I think it just works. I'd really like to hear from someone, any listeners out there who have not read Deadly Class and who is just enjoying the show for what it is. What are some things you like about Deadly Class? What are some things you don't like? Does the comic book panels take you out of it? Is the music any good? I'd really like to hear. I'd like to hear from all of you, especially who have read. But for the people who are not reading and flipping through the actual comic, how does this show read to you? Because I'm kind of tainted with my view because I do have this history of reading the book. So Master Lin pretty much finds out after the little party that through from Saya that Willie didn't kill that man, that Marcus did. And kind of taking this couple steps back, Henry Rollins' character, the Poison Lab professor, said something, and I don't know verbatim, but he said something to Marcus which was essentially, you have the thing that this school was built for, and the other kids either are jealous or are afraid of that. And I thought that was a really powerful line. I don't recall that being said in the comic, but I thought that was really, it drove home something, that there is something special about Marcus, and it doesn't have to be this supernatural thing, but it's just him. And because you can feel energies or vibrations or however you want to classify it, but when you like someone, when someone has an it factor, when someone is not good for you. Like, there are things that and for him to say that out loud, I think was very interesting, because it's not that Marcus isn't affiliated, and there are other kids at this school who are not affiliated, but to say this thing to Marcus as the newbie, as the one who's able to kind of use his street smarts and think outside of the box to get you out of these situations, I think that was very powerful, that was very impactful, and I love to see how this is shown throughout the series, not necessarily just told. I don't want to keep hearing, oh, you're special, oh, you're doing good things. I want to see Marcus react and act in these situations. Now, Marcus is having in shock, PTSD up the ass. Like, he keeps seeing the homeless guy who he murdered, and I like that kind of horror, suspense, psychological thriller shit of it all, because this man is popping up everywhere, and it's getting in the way of Marcus. Like, he's in a bad way. Like, this motherfucker before, you was homeless on the street, eating trash and running from the law, but he feels even worse off in this episode than he was in the last one. And a lot of this, I feel like, is the show's doing a really good job with this, because Willie, who is performing this macho act and who is bragging about murdering this man, is doing this so constantly, and it's in the space where Marcus is in. You can't escape it. So not only do you have the shit in your head that you're worried about, you also have this verbal, physical person who is constantly reminding you of the thing that you did that you can't even speak up about. And if you were ever to, you would be even in a worse way, because now you're threatening his reputation, and you're exposing him to quiet your demons. But now you have to deal with him, because he don't want this fallout from people not knowing he's his. So it's just like this Seinfeld effect where everything affects the other, and there is no way to get out of it. I love that, and I like that Willie is kind of sort of there for him, but only, you can tell they're friends, but we're on two different sides of this war. And Marcus kind of explodes at Willie in front of his crew, and he followed him outside. He's like, "Look, if you can't handle this, let me know what's up." Like, but essentially saying, "Nigga, you need to pull it together." And I really like that. Then we get the backstory of Willie killing his dad, and Willie ends his little conversation with, "Now you yell at me in front of my crew again, and I'm gonna whoop your ass," pretty much. And I like that. I really like Willie and Marcus's relationship, and I want to see what this show does with them going forward. And I don't know, I really like it. Kudos. Cool motherfucking nose. Throughout all of this, there's this B plot of Maria and Chico having dinner. Maria wanting to be at the party but can't, and but Chico says something to her, which is pretty much, well, she says, "Well, you think everyone's not trying to kill me or whatever," and he's like, "They aren't on our side, they being the other students." And there's a tinge of like prejudice, borderline racism in there, but though Chico is the bad guy, I completely get what he's saying. This isn't some regular high school. This is a school for assassins. Maria, to quit fucking around. Like, get on board or not. And Maria is kind of swept up into this thing where this ain't the life she chose for herself. I mean, she's good at what she does, but all in all, she's a teenage girl who wants to have a good time. Oh, man. But alas, that is not the case. So Billy, the mohawk-haired intro to the school character that we got has a thing for Petra, and that goes south so quickly. When he finally gets the nerve to talk to her at this party, this fool tells this girl, "I love you," and she like bails on him and sleeps with Victor, and it's ultimately, after all of that, some kind of way Lex comes out with a like humongous dildo. Like, this shit had to be like 3 feet long. I mean, maybe 2 feet. A long ass, and it was like, it looked like a novelty item. And Saya had to cut it in half, and then the police showed up, and everybody scattered. It was such a good scene, a good collection of scenes. Saya sticking close to Marcus because he's her neophyte or whatever, for lack of a better term, and that's what she says. But I feel like she has a thing for him. We find out, or Master Lynn finds out, of course, that Marcus is the one who killed the homeless guy and not Willie. Now, I'm wondering what kind of consequences are Willie going to face from this lie. Now, Master Lynn suspected it before, but it was confirmed by Saya. And, Saya, I'm there for her, but I'm like, man, you going back having these secret meetings with Master Lynn. What is this about? Like I said before on Twitter, I think on the first episode, I don't know if we can trust Master Lynn. I know that we can't, but with the show doing its own thing, can we really trust him? Because how do you have this school for generations pumping out assassins and crime lords and shit, and you're still in power? Like, you have to have some dirt on somebody, because the way that this show is set up, I would think someone would try to come in and take over that school. Like, because it seems like the division is within racial boundaries, and not necessarily I'm wealthy and you're poor. The Yakuza and the Sotos Vatos and the New World, the NWO motherfuckers and all. So, and then with Master Lynn, it can't be ignored that he is Asian and Saya is as well. Is there a connection? Are they in the same set, for lack of a better term? And forgive me, I'm not sure their background. Like, I don't know I think Master Lynn is Chinese. I'm saying all this because I feel as if Master Lynn, for him being the headmaster of this school and staying in power for so long and having these secret meetings with Saya and kind of keeping an eye on whoever, you're playing a long game. I don't know what it is, but we can't ignore the racial elements of this show. Just as if Master Lynn was black, we couldn't ignore that maybe him having some connection with Willie. Or if he was white, maybe him having a connection with Brandy and her clique. Or, if it can't be ignored, the race of the headmaster who runs the school for the assassins, especially when there are kids in this school who share his same background. If that makes sense. I'm hoping that makes sense, but that's how I feel. So Master Lynn takes Marcus to this funeral, and the funeral is for the homeless guy who he killed, and his daughter's up there. My dad, he wasn't a great guy, but or he didn't always do right, but he tried, and this and that and blah, whatever. And Marcus is just sitting there listening, and he goes up to speak, and he's still having these kind of PTSD flashbacks of the dead guy. And he's like, this motherfucker was a dick. He was a horrible ass fool, and he fucked up everybody he met, and fuck him, and I'm glad he's dead. It's just like, damn. So the daughter walks up to him and spits in his face. Boy, it would have took everything in me not to wrench around and wop, mollywop that girl with that one. But I mean, I get it. It was a very heavy scene. And later on, Master Lynn and Marcus are talking, and he's like, he mentioned before, he being Marcus, mentioned how Lex wants to do some good with his learnings, his teachings. And there has to be a better way. And it's just, I feel for Marcus because he's in this space where this is the lesser of two evils. You get meals every day, you get clothing, you get shelter, but at the expense of you having to now be a trained killer. But on the flip side, once you get out of this school, you are going to have tools that will help you succeed where you wouldn't have gotten these before. But even with that, you're kind of between the rock and a hard place. Like, you have to be in this space or else they're going to kill you because now you're a liability. But for that to even be the case, these kids are like out of this fucking school a lot of the time. Like, you're at this house party, and that's something that I was a bit confused on is, are these kids like, okay, we're at the school, we're leaving for assignments, but it seems as if we're just leaving to leave. Marcus and the crew went to the house party. Shabnam, I didn't know, like, does he live at home? It feels like a boarding school, like they live there, but your parents are away for the weekend. You throw a party, but do you live there? Or do you go there on the weekends, holidays? Like, what is this? Also, Chico and Maria were on a date. So it's not just like everybody snuck out to go to a party. It seemed as if even if everyone didn't go to this party, Chico and Maria would have just went on this date anyways. So odd. But yeah, so getting back to Marcus and Master Lin, there's something big being planned here, and I don't know what it is. I know something from the books that's coming, or that I'm sure is going to come. Even if they deviate the story a bit, I know this particular incident is going to come, and it may, if they want it to be as impactful, it'll be the season finale. Or maybe it'll be season 2's finale, but it'll be a finale whenever this thing does happen. And for those of you who have read the book, you know what I'm talking about. That one assembly that led to some other shit. But Master Lin finds out through Saya that Marcus did not burn down that boy's home, that it was someone else. It was his roommate. And that's the thing that's a bit more kind of heavy for Master Lin. And it had me thinking, like, what is it that you see in Marcus? Because we know that the Henry Rollins Poison Lab professor sees Marcus as being great, the reason that this school was created. But what does Master Lin see in Marcus? That's the thing. And how does this new information change that? Or what does it do to his perception of Marcus, and by extension the rest of the school? Because if Marcus is this new guy, this rat who's not affiliated, and you have these high hopes for him and trying to cultivate this murderous whatever, there are kids already here at the school. Is it just they're legacy members of this institution? Maybe you can mold and shape Marcus in a way that you can't for them. Like, there's a lot of things going on that I'm curious to see what the show is going to do, and what Master Lin is doing. So all in all, good episode. My biggest critique: where are the black women? Where are they? But I don't know. It's still a pretty good show. Favorite character of this episode, I feel by default it'll be Marcus, but I'm gonna go with Willie. And not only because he was the one with the backstory, but I like seeing him. I like seeing more of Willie. We got a lot of Maria, we got a lot of Chico, we got a lot of, Lex and everyone else. But I feel like this show, I'm hoping there are black people in the writer's room. It doesn't feel right now that they have a handle on Willie like they do on everyone else. We spend a lot of time with Marcus and his crew, Petra, Lex, Billy, Marcus, and I feel like I'm missing someone. But we get and then we even get a lot of Saya. We get some Maria and Chico, but when it comes down to Willie, I don't feel like we're getting enough of him. But I'm gonna be patient because I like what we're doing so far, sans there not being any black women. But Willie will be my favorite for this episode. My favorite scene. There was so much going on. There was so many good gems. I think all in all, I did enjoy the assignment, the survival assignment, where Master Lin was frustrated with the class about not killing anyone or killing people that they needed to, or having evidence, and sending everyone out to pick a lock and fight some ninjas and be poisoned and find the antidote. I like that survival scene. So kudos. What else? I really don't have a rating for this one. With this being 80s and high school and stuff, I don't know. I'll think of something, I guess, that's on brand for the 80s. But I don't know, a good episode. So again, thank you guys for listening to this episode of A Deadly Class Act. Make sure that you are using the hashtag ADCAPod. Make this a conversation. Also, meet me at SyFy on Wednesdays to live tweet hashtag ADCAPod. I'll see you there. Social medias, Twitter, Carefree Blurred is my handle. All other social medias, Carefree Black Nerd. Check out my IGTV 1 minute comic reviews. I've been kind of on a bit of a hiatus. Life has been hitting me hard. But The last series of shows I did for the IGTV was the Deadly Class Volume 1 review. So you can listen to that or watch that and see how the season 1 and 2 episodes are kind of different from the Deadly Class novel or series, whatever. Also, check out my Facebook page, Carefree Black Nerd, the Facebook page. I'm playing around. You know, I'm just a kid from Flint playing around over there. I'm not sure what I'm doing, but like the page and kind of interact with me. If you feel, you know, the need, tweet me. Make sure you email me, carefreeblacknerd@gmail.com. And I'll make sure you watch the other episodes on the Carefree Black Nerd feed. Black Lightning Matters on Mondays or Wednesdays. God damn, y'all, I'm all over the place. I think I was poisoned by Master Lin. Welcome to Riverdale, the Carefree Black Nerd Riverdale review on Mondays. A Deadly Class Act, the Carefree Black Nerd Deadly Class review on Tuesdays, and Black Lightning Matters, the Carefree Black Nerd with co-host Cole Jackson of Government Name on Wednesdays. And until next time, guys, stay carefree, stay nerdy, stay geeky, and stay aware of your surroundings, because at King's Dominion, anything could happen. All right, y'all.
At King's Dominion, we have different cliques. For example, we have the Cartel Kids, which is Maria's group.
We have the Yakuza.
Yakuza is a Japanese mafia. They are fiercely intelligent and terrifying.
We have the Final World Order, which is like an African-American gang from the streets of Watts. We have the KGB officers' children. A pillar of community.
And underneath all those people, we have the rats.
We're losers, dude.
A rat is someone who's new to the school, who has no one in their family that's come to the school before them.
It's another look at sort of the class warfare that exists in all high schools, but through a bit of a more severe lens.
These animals see kindness as weakness. Safer to be a dick.
Where is Fair Boy?